I don't know anything about World of Warcraft. But what I do like are theme parks. And I thought this trailer was lovely. I like this trailer a lot. It was very, very silly. The mid-season is just around the corner, and I have a couple of things that I want to see from it. And I was going to make this video anyways, but this director's take actually just came out, and it's kind of talking about the things that we are probably going to see. So I'm going to make this video kind of like a cross between the changes I want to see for the mid-season, but also letting you know like what other changes we kind of know are coming and what I'm expecting from them. So basically, I believe this is Alec Dawson here. He is talking about the mid-season things that they're trying to do, things that they've seen so far. I'm not going to read this whole thing for you. You can find it in the description, or maybe just watch some other YouTube video breakdown. I'm sure they will. I'm going to give you a very, very quick summary. So basically, we're going to go ahead and start with Juno. The TLDR here is that they are pretty happy with her general balance as it stands right now. And they are not looking to make any big changes right away in the mid-season. And I think that is probably a pretty good thing. I think that Juno is very strong. She is meta, but I don't think Juno is what is frustrating about this meta, or, you know, what's in the, what they're playing in OWCS and all that stuff. I don't think Juno is the problem. I think she is a strong character that is fun. Now, there are a couple of things I would like to see about, she does have to play a lot more safe than I think you want to, but I think that's also because of a certain other character that is really good in this meta that we will get to because she does get brought up. But Alec also says that she is finding a lot of success on payload and hybrid maps. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think that she plays a lot more like an Ana in terms of positioning, with a little bit more mobility and escape options. She does not want to get super into the fight because she will probably also die. So I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's cool to have a speed character like that. Now, obviously, Lucio has worked on payload and hybrid maps, of course. Don't get me wrong. But maybe there is a stronger speed character on certain map types. That's pretty cool. But yeah, they said that going into this mid-season, probably not going to be a lot of changes to Juno, if any. They are taking a look, however, at how her allies play with her ultimate, which I don't exactly know what they're trying to get at there. I don't know how you could change how her allies play with it unless you actually reworked how it worked a little bit. Maybe it's a little more potent in the center, and further away it's not as much. Who knows, actually. That's not anything I think is a problem with her ultimate. If anything, I think her ultimate probably charges a little too quickly. She always has that because she's always doing healing and damage. There's no time at all in the game where she's not doing it. So she is a very consistent, very good generator of ult. And that is a very, very powerful ult to generate that quickly. So I would say that either just bring her ult time down, or sorry, her what she needs to gain the ult up, so it takes longer to get the ult. Or I also think that her healing numbers are way better than they lead on, especially after the fire rate changes. If they brought her healing numbers down just a little bit, that would also effectively do the same thing and make her get her ult slower, because she's not doing as much healing. So I think either one of those two changes would be pretty welcome as a very baseline, very basic, not too much of a nerf either way. Because those are not, I mean, obviously the ult is what makes her good, and that's a bit of an outlier, the way that it is fast. But nerfing the other parts of her kit may be not what you're looking for, because the other parts of her kit enable other characters. So you may want to check those other characters before you go to Juno. And again, we'll get there. But next we have Clash. Now they have said there are basically a lot of things that they are looking at about Clash. They have not outright said that they don't like the direction Clash has been in, but when you point out like 4 different things that you're trying to accomplish with this game mode still, it's a bit of an admission like, hey, there's some work to be done here, and I'm glad that that's true. And what they have said, basically the TLDRs, they want to stop snowballs. They want to try and incentivize pushing the final point more. They want to address when the games feel like you lost because you started winning first, and that's like a very common issue where you'll go down and basically have no chance of winning the game if you won like the first point or the first 2 points. It's a very tricky situation. And also they added that there's just a general like understanding of the game mode that since it's so frantic and chaotic that it's a little hard to track sometimes. I am not going to go into every little thing that I would want to see from Clash because I have already talked about this in a video that is my most viewed video on my channel. And odds are if you're watching this one, you've probably already seen that one too. So you kind of know where I stand on that. But in general, you know, I think, yeah, they basically hit the nail right on the head about the things that really need to change with this game mode and what they are really trying to get at here. What they also said, I'm just going to skip all the big things, but they said that there are going to be some light changes in Midseason 12. If I had to guess, maybe there will be some, some scaling back of the wave respawns, or in fact, maybe respawns will be a little longer on Clash. I think that would not be a bad option because as it stands, fights happen a lot, which I think is good, but I think they happen way too often. And a lot of the time, it feels like you are just skirmishing the entire time. You're not getting like really big, true team fights. You're getting little mini skirmishes where a couple people are chasing the other couple people on the team. And it's just this weird feeling that sometimes, and not always, but sometimes doesn't even feel like a proper game of Overwatch, especially on ladder. It feels like you all just kind of do your own thing, and one team individually did their own thing better than the other. There's no real team play, it feels like sometimes. So, yeah, I definitely think that wave respawns or respawn time in general should be the main priority that I would like to see first of all, and then some of those other things I've talked about in the past, bigger changes to Clash, I'd like to see when they say first full round of tweaks coming in Season 13. That's kind of like what I am thinking. And then, of course, for mid-season balance, the TLDR here is that tanks are very good. And they're looking at armor, and they're looking at the defensive passives. So what does that mean? Well, the things that they recently buffed, tank passives and armor, are probably going to get nerfed. I would definitely think in this mid-season patch. I think armor will definitely either be reverted back to what it was, not the old like 30% damage reduction, although if that happened, I really wouldn't be that mad about it. I like the idea of the armor scaling more against like tank buster abilities, but there needs to be a little bit more work about how it's implemented. I think it should just be, if it's outside of that tank busting stuff, it should be a max reduction of 30% and a minimum reduction of, max reduction of 50%, minimum reduction of 30%, much more towards those lower instances of damage, the tank buster ones. And then also so that the burst damage doesn't get too high on tanks. Then we're going to go ahead and take that damage threshold, the 10 damage, bring it back down to 5, makes it easier. I am going to go ahead and assume that that is what we are going to see come Tuesday, something like that. Maybe not all the way back down to 5. I would like it to go back to 5, but we're probably going to see something like that because armor is just way too good, right? They even point out, especially on D.Va. Now, that D.Va having a lot of armor, I think, is fine when armor is not broken, right? I think armor is crazy good right now. So D.Va having that much armor is crazy. If they are going to nerf armor, perfectly fine to keep D.Va's armor numbers the same. Yeah, we're just talking about what I want to see in the mid-season cycle that's going to be coming up on Tuesday here. But yeah, if we want, I'm totally fine if armor gets nerfed. We can keep D.Va's armor. I think it's perfectly fine. And then in terms of the tank survivability, the defensive ones, I have a feeling that the knockback is not what we're going to see changed. I think that the knockback, I would like to see it change, but I think it's fine right now. I think the headshot reduction is really killer for a lot of these characters. But yeah, I think what we're actually going to see on Tuesday is a reduction of the headshot reduction, I guess. So like it's 25% reduction right now. I think it's going to be closer to 20, maybe even 15. We will have to see, but it's very exciting to see that they know that those are problems, and that is going to, they're going to bring the tank role back in. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about D.Va now, because I've already talked about her a little bit. God, she needs a damage nerf. Like, oh my god, she is still doing so much damage. 225 characters especially, like now that we have those in the roster, she just devours them. It is kind of insane. But when I was talking about Juno earlier and I said I don't want to nerf the other parts of Juno's kit because I don't think it's Juno that is the problem. I think it's the other characters that work with her. D.Va benefits from the speed ring more than any other character in the game by an extremely wide margin. Because D.Va, for whatever reason, doesn't have much of a cap on her booster speed, so she can fly through the backline and basically eliminate one of her biggest weaknesses is the time it takes for her to dive. She can eliminate that and not put her team, the rest of her team, at risk because she can take the speed ring and just go by herself. Damage nerfs are the missiles. I think her gun is perfectly fine. It's the missiles that really need to come back down. But then D.Va with missiles and guns, right, because she can fire them at the same time, will just run at a squishy at Mach 10, and the burst damage of the missiles is actually higher than normal because the missiles are getting to the target on average faster because she is closer to them. I've talked about this before. It's like the Doppler effect, right? Because she is rapidly approaching the time between the missiles is lower. So it makes her burst damage way higher than it should be, and her potential to assassinate is like crazy. I mean, the meta right now is basically devolved around trying to slow the D.Va down as much as possible. Brig, Mei, Venture, even, like all of that. It is a crazy character. So I think she needs some kind of cap on her boosters, or maybe her booster speed in general just needs to go down a little bit. But again, I also just need her damage her damage should definitely go down. And if the armor changes happen and the tanks are not as survivable overall, just hitting her damage and that will probably be really good. It will be much better overall. So that's definitely what I want to see for D.Va. Moving over to some other characters, just fix the Juno booster speed interaction. Yeah, I think I don't want to make it specific to Juno boosters because that's going to make it feel really weird. But yes, that's what it is, right? It does. What's it called? Yeah, so make it so it counts towards the global movement speed buff. It's crazy that she can just ignore it. Yeah, I mean, that's it, right? Just reduce the damage a bit, set a cap on speed boosters. And then with that general survivability of tanks being nerfed, perfect. I think it's perfect. We'll have to see, but I have a feeling that is what we're going to see there. The only thing that I'm afraid they're not going to change is her missile damage. I'm afraid that they think that she needs it, and that she definitely doesn't, because it's way too overbearing. Especially if Winston gets a damage reduction, I think D.Va definitely needs one. Okay, going on from that, they also specifically talk about Sombra, and they're looking into some changes for her stealth duration. Oh my god, let's go. Finally, infinite stealth probably going away. Infinite stealth going away is it's so lovely. It's so lovely to hear. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. We'll have to see how it actually gets implemented, but if I had to guess, it's just after a couple seconds while you're in stealth, you will be unstealthed. Or I could see them doing something, which I don't like this, but I can see them doing something where you can travel a certain distance, and then once you travel that distance, your stealth goes away. Something like that. But any way to make it so that Sombra has to think about when she goes into stealth or like what she uses stealth for, much healthier, and will make that character not nearly as frustrating. I also personally would just like to see some of that virus impact damage reduced, because Assassin Sombra just isn't fun for the majority of people. They've done stealth changes before and eventually reverted them, right? I mean, like, I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, they've done stealth changes when she got her initial rework back in Overwatch 1, obviously, to make it perma. And then her new rework where it's the passive stealth and everything. And then I forgot about her other rework. She's been reworked a lot. But yeah, they made it faster. They just made her faster in stealth, and they haven't reverted that. And honestly, if she can't be in stealth all the time, I think that's okay. I think I'm fine with the faster movement speed if she's not going to be able to be in stealth all the time. Oh, I didn't even realize that this says among other things as well. So Sombra will also be getting hit in other areas. My guess, again, being virus, taking another look at virus damage. But yeah, and then also one other thing that I think is balance-wise, because I think overall most characters are pretty balanced. It's just there's a couple outliers that are really frustrating. Venture not getting hit by the health changes, especially this season, I think we're really feeling it. Venture is a very, very good pick to get that mobile disruption while still being alive all the time. It's very free for Venture because they have an invulnerability ability and shields and everything. So what I would like to see is just give Venture a health change, and then they're not going to get one shot by things if they use their cooldowns properly because they get overshields from it. So I think that's actually a really interesting interaction of trying to stay within the range that you're not going to get one shot, but then like you might have to use an ability you didn't want to because you needed to, like you accidentally peeked a Hanzo and now you have to drill dash. So in order not to get one shot. Summer's going in a downhill slide since Overwatch 1. Before it was ability lockout duration, then it was a translator, now it's stealth. Can't tell the devs not knowing how to rework such balance or the players just being too vocal and not too informed. I think that invisibility is a very tricky ability to get right and to feel fair. I think one of the most like frustrating character archetypes in these types of games is like characters that operate on the enemy having little information or false information. Think about like Yoru in Valorant, where he's got the clones that just look like, they really do look like he is doing something, and then you shoot them and then they blind you, and it's just like extremely frustrating. I think Sombra always being invisible, always being in your head, potentially being anywhere but only actually ever being one place at one time, it's effectively the same type of thing, right? Invis and Hack are just very hard to be both be balanced and fun to play against. Yeah, exactly, right? I think like you can have one or the other, and I think that leaning into Hack is much healthier because Hack has a lot more of like not easy, but like actual counterplay to it that is more fun. It's like, oh, I'm getting hacked, where is she? I'm gonna try and stop her from hacking me, right? Thing is, she had invisibly before the whole ability lockout problem phase, but it was on a cooldown. She had a timer for it. I think that was the best iteration over Invis. I mean, absolutely. I remember back in the day, people thought Sombra was really bad because her kit wasn't great. But yeah, you're right. It was Sombra had a certain amount of time that she could be invisible, and that limited what she could do. Now, she didn't have the like damage pressure, like the assassin pressure like she does now. So I don't think it worked very well back then. But now I think that giving her a little bit more kill pressure, and not like it is now, like I think we should bring her down a little bit, but having that kill pressure means that not perma invis, I think, is more viable. I think it's definitely a better thing. So basically, yeah, those are kind of the three characters I want to see hit by this midseason balance patch, and I don't really know if I want to see anybody like super get buffed. I think they just need to hit the outliers, and make them not as oppressive, so we can have, in my opinion, a healthier meta, because right now it is a very frustrating feast or famine type of composition that we have to play into, and it makes ladder play not very fun. So finally, the World of Warcraft event will be launching on Tuesday. Now, I don't know anything about World of Warcraft, but what I do like are theme parks, and I thought this trailer was lovely. I like this trailer a lot. It was very, very silly. They really get the vibe and the aesthetic of like a dark ride mixed with kind of like the screen based stuff. Think of like a Spider-Man from Universal, if you're familiar with that. I love this trailer. I think this was really, really cool. Now I will say, talking about the skin collab or like the event itself, the only thing I do really want to see, oh yeah, the Reinhardt skin. I mean, I think the skins are pretty good. I like them. The only thing I really want to see from the collab itself is that Torb Magni skin. I really hope that is not a shop skin. I really hope that's like a free, like, play the game, do some event stuff. Because I think we've been sorely missing that recently. And since it is just a recolor, I think it's going to be a much harder sell to get people to buy Diamond, Magni. So instead, making it like a free event thing, I think would be way better and get more people in to play the game. I also, just assuming based on the trailer, since it doesn't say anything about it, I would go ahead and assume that we aren't getting a game mode, which I think is kind of sucks. But, you know, they take time to make, and the Overwatch team is low on resources, as we know. So yeah, basically the only thing I really want is to see that skin be free, and the rest are nice and cool. And if you like World of Warcraft, then I'm glad you got your skins, because they do look pretty sick. But yeah, basically that's it. That's all I've got for this one. Please let me know in the comments below, what balance changes do you want to see in the mid-season, and what do you want to see going forward? They talked a lot about season 13 as well, so what do you want to see there? Like and subscribe while you're at it. I really appreciate it. This was streamed live, twitch.tv/Lane Hemingway. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays is when I go live. You had a couple people in here talking today. That could be you. Look, that could be you. Okay, anyways. And then also join my Discord if you want to send me a hot take, a replay code to look at, a rework idea, just talk Overwatch, any of that stuff. In the description below, you'll find that. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day.